how do you decide what kind of windows you need? In our case, we already had replaced about 16 years ago most of the windows in the house. So pretty much that decision was made for us. The builders and folks who were advising us said, look, you kind of need to go with what you already have, pick this brand. But I guess that's two questions then. How do you decide, as you mentioned, that's a shop built window behind you. How do you
Hmm.
decide between shop built and a brand? And then either way, when you're looking for a window, I guess separate but sort of similar question then or related would be what are the factors when you're shopping for a window? What are the things you need to consider? What are the decision points in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of price, sustainable materials? Many people don't seem to know where to even begin.
Yeah, so let's start first, like, where do you start with the whole journey of picking out the window? Well, the first thing is just determining the style. So forget the nomenclature of the window, how it's put together, whether it's name brand or not, you pick the style. So we've got different styles here. We have a European window over there. We have just a regular sash window here. You can also go with a casement window. I noticed the windows you have behind you are divided light, which means you've got that grill pattern in them. This is, a different type of window. You've got divided light on the top, you have clear paint on the bottom. So once you establish that, then you can say, he's like, all right, which of the brands that are out there have the options that meet our needs? So for instance, we're working on a house right now. They have all shop-built windows and doors on the house. We're replacing three very large windows in the back of the house. Well, since they're so large, I have to go with a certain brand. And actually, there's only one line within the brand, and it happens to be like the Marvin Modern window. I wanted to go with one of their less costly windows, but their less costly windows, there's a limitation on the size. So because it was such a large window, it kind of limited the options. Also looking at, are you going to want to paint the windows? Are you going to want to put a cladding on it where the color lasts forever? That kind of limits your options as far as different brands that you go with. So a lot of, like in New England, in the Midwest, a lot of people like to have those clad windows. We like to have the clad windows down here in Atlanta as well because of all the rain. Well, what I've noticed is like this window right here, this is the fiberglass window. Marvin also has one that's aluminum. So that aluminum cladding is not easy to paint. So if you pick that color, you're stuck with that color for a long time. It's kind of like if you buy a PC or a Mac, like whatever universe you decide to go into, you're kind of stuck with that universe for a long time. So making these decisions now on the types of windows is very important. So as far as like which series to go into, like for instance on your house, you mentioned, I think you've got an Anderson window or something like that, a reputable company. A lot of times it makes sense to say within that universe if you're picking out different windows, mainly because the patterns, the grill patterns, and whatnot look the same. What I usually do recommend though, if somebody has like all shop built windows in their house and that, hey, we're gonna stay in this house for another 30, 40 years. We want this house to be a generational house. We don't have to worry about anything. At that point, I start recommending is like, as you're replacing, go with a name brand window because these are gonna perform better. They're gonna last longer. This window right here could probably last 40, 50 years, where this window right here is probably gonna last 10 to 20 years, maybe 30 years, depending on, actually this window right here on a house, parts of the casing, I just got a call from the homeowner because this is a PVC window. The sun hit it, we put a darker color on it. Well, apparently that absorbed a lot of heat and is starting to bend a little bit, where if I had a fiberglass window, which is more resistant to the sun's energy, that is going to last longer. So I wouldn't mix and match too many different brands because it is going to look unique in your house. But if you're starting to replace, you don't have to replace them all at once. Just make a decision. It's like, this is the kind of window that we're going to go with, a window door, or the style that we're going to go with, and then start replacing all of them the same as needed, or you can replace them all at the same time. So it really depends on at what point they're failing. But I usually advise my clients to choose that brand, stick with that brand. And what we usually do is go ask a bunch of questions like, do you want to paint the windows? If they say no, it's like, then I usually go with like an aluminum clad window because it's going to last a long time. Also talk about the budget. We talk about size. Do you want to have stain grade on the inside? Well, that kind of affects the window as well, because if you have something that's pre-finished on the inside and outside, well, some of these don't have that. This particular one happens to be like a fiberglass window on the outside, it's wood clad on the inside so we can stain it. But they also have a line that's fiberglass on both sides. So it really depends on what the client is looking for, because there isn't a one size fits all answer. I mean, I do have some windows that check most of the boxes, but sometimes someone asks for something outside of that. It's like, all right, we'll go in with this. So it's very client specific. It's very, I would say, vendor specific and also house specific. So if someone's asked me, like, hey, what is the best window out there? It's like, I ask 10 questions and then I can give them an answer based on that. But I'm not automatically going to go to a particular, any of these windows that are on the table right here, because there isn't a one size fits all. These are all windows we've used on projects within the last 12 months. So obviously we're not necessarily pushing one brand or one style, because every client, every house, every budget is different.
You brought up so many great points there. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that a shop built window versus a brand window, shop built windows don't have the same life expectancy. On the other hand, it sounds like because they're shop built, they can be customized a little better for the project. So if you're super custom, that might be a way you go because you need to.
Usually shop built is based on price. So, and a lot of times I can even say with a Marvin or an Anderson or a Pella, like there's a lot of customization that are available in those lines. But sometimes there's also limitations on the glass size and the frame size. You have to go something that's even more engineered. So I would say, the difference between a shop built and a name brand window, the main reason people are going to go with the shop built is based on price. And also, like, if a homeowner doesn't know the difference, a builder is always going to lean to, like, what is code compliant, what gets me past this sale, and what makes me competitive. And they're probably going to go with something like this. Now, for our clients, they come to us, they expect us to know better, to do more high performance homes. So it's like, oh, listen, for your house, I would start out with anything less than this. But ironically, I go around, this market, Buckhead is a well-known community around here, and I'll see shop-built windows on houses that are $10-20 million, and it's like, and I ask, why did you choose that? I was like, well, I just didn't even know the difference. So a lot of times people are getting bad windows, bad HVAC systems, poor insulation, but they may have a countertop that's like $500 a square foot, not knowing the difference in the value of each decision that they're making. So I try to tell people, like, if you're building a house that's going to last 50 years, definitely go with something that's higher performing, that one of the clad windows or an all fiberglass window, or like we have the PVC window over there. Those are going to last much longer. The glass is going to last a lot longer. You don't have to worry about rot. So those are just some of the things, especially here in Atlanta, that I tell people to look for. But it's really based on budget.
That's really interesting, because I would have thought more customized shop built windows might even be more, or another factor could be maybe wanting to keep the business local and give it to someone local. I thought that the quality would be higher, but durability is a huge part of
No.
quality. So that's thank you for that information.
Now you can't. It doesn't mean that if you're buying local that the quality is not going to be there. Shop built. So I mean, if you look at the nomenclature of what's here, and we're going to do some close-ups of this as well. This is a bunch of different parts that were kind of assembled. They order these parts from a particular manufacturer. A particular vendor. So you can see these lines that are in here. This is a different piece right here and you can tell that it was cut for this window. Again, they're not bad cuts. You could, but it's not as clean as some of the lines that I see in these other windows over here, because these guys, mill their wood, they make all the wood. It's a seamless process where they're not buying a lot of these parts from third parties. Like, this is a vertical and horizontal integration, where this is just, okay, let's order some parts. This is more of a assembly versus crafting it. Again, it works. There's not a lot wrong with this, except that it's not going to last as long, and it's going to perform differently than these. Now, if you're in an area where the sun's not hitting it and you've done a really good job installing it, you can get one of these to almost perform as good as this based on the install. But if you're building like a passive house, like we're doing at the 1920s house, I can't even go with some of the name brand windows. I've got to go with like a European type window where it has even a tighter seal, a tighter fit. And I know that there's going to be very little air leakage around it and close to zero air leakage, just based on the specifications of the window.
Thanks, Matt. There's a lot of great information here. I think that will really help people as they think about their windows, actually, as they think about their whole home and their design and energy and health and comfort goals. I wish we'd had this conversation before I replaced my own windows, but I hope I know this information will help a lot of other people out there, and certainly including our members. So thank you very much.
Hey, not a problem. And the good news is we've talked to lots of different window manufacturers, so we have a full playlist, not only this video, if you want to make sure that you have all the questions answered regarding to like these windows, but also other windows in the past. We're going to have like 10 to 20 videos in that playlist, so make sure you hit that playlist over there, hit the like and subscribe button so you can get more great content just like this.